Welcome back to True Stories After 50. Thank you so much for being here today. Your presence means the world to me, and I'm grateful we get to share this time together. Before we dive in, I want to ask you something. If you find value in what we talk about today, please hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. It helps more people find content that might genuinely change their perspective on aging alone. Now, let's talk about something most people are terrified to discuss. Growing old alone. Not because you failed at relationships, not because nobody wants you, but because you've reached a stage in life where solitude isn't loneliness. It's liberation. The world will tell you that dying alone is the ultimate tragedy. Family gatherings are painted as the pinnacle of happiness. Retirement communities advertise couples holding hands on beaches. But here's what nobody tells you. Some of the most miserable people on earth are surrounded by others. And some of the most content people you'll ever meet live completely alone. I'm not here to romanticize isolation or pretend that humans don't need connection. We do. But there's a massive difference between being alone and being lonely. And if you're entering your later years solo, whether by choice or circumstance, you need to know this: you can be profoundly happy. Not in spite of being alone, but sometimes because of it. Let's start with the uncomfortable truth that nobody wants to say out loud. Most people stay in relationships, families, and social circles out of fear. Fear of judgment. Fear of silence. Fear of facing themselves. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. When you're alone, you're forced to realize this truth faster than anyone else. Think about your daily decisions right now. What time you eat. What you watch. Whether you want noise or silence. When you're alone, every single one of these choices is entirely yours. No compromises. No negotiations. No silent resentment building because someone else always gets their way. This isn't selfishness. This is self-possession. And it's rarer than you think. The first key to being happy alone is accepting that you're not broken. Society has programmed us to believe that solitude equals failure. You see it everywhere. Pitying looks when you mention you live alone. Questions about why you never remarried. The assumption that you must be desperately seeking companionship. Reject this narrative completely. You are not an incomplete puzzle waiting for someone else to make you whole. Here's what actually happens when you embrace solitude. You stop performing. Most of our lives are performances. We perform the role of spouse, parent, friend, employee. We modify our behavior based on who's watching. We laugh at jokes we don't find funny. We attend events we have no interest in. We bite our tongue when we want to speak and speak when we'd rather be silent. Alone, the performance ends. You can finally be authentic without apology. This authenticity creates a kind of peace that people in complicated relationships rarely experience. You wake up and the day is yours. Not in a lonely, empty way. In a spacious, possibility-filled way. You want breakfast at noon? Nobody's judging. You want to spend 4 hours reading without interruption? It's yours. You want to blast music at 10 p.m. or sit in complete silence for days? Your choice. But let's be honest about the challenges, because pretending they don't exist is useless. The hardest part isn't the practical stuff. It's the moments of sudden grief. You see something beautiful and have nobody to immediately share it with. You get sick and have to take care of yourself. You achieve something and there's no one waiting at home to celebrate. These moments are real and they can cut deep. The solution isn't to pretend these moments don't hurt. It's to build a life so rich that these moments become rare rather than constant. You do this by cultivating what I call strategic connections. Not desperate, clingy relationships born from fear of being alone. Strategic, intentional connections with people who add genuine value to your life. This might be a neighbor you have coffee with twice a week, a book club that meets monthly, a volunteer position at a local organization, online communities centered around your interests. The key is that these connections are chosen, not obligated. You're there because you want to be, not because someone will guilt you if you're not. Henry David Thoreau spent years at Walden Pond and wrote, "I never found the companion that was so companionable as solitude." He wasn't saying other people are worthless. He was saying that solitude, when approached correctly, offers something that constant companionship cannot. Space to think. Space to grow. Space to become who you actually are, rather than who others need you to be. Let's talk about practical daily habits that make solo aging genuinely enjoyable. First, structure matters more when you're alone. When you live with others, structure is often imposed externally. Mealtimes, social obligations, someone else's schedule. Alone, you need to create your own rhythm. This doesn't mean rigid schedules. It means intentional patterns that give your days shape. Maybe you start every morning with coffee on your porch, watching the sunrise. Maybe you take a walk every afternoon at 3. Maybe Friday nights are for trying a new recipe or rewatching your favorite films. These rituals become anchors. There's something to look forward to and something that marks time in meaningful ways. Physical health becomes non-negotiable when you're aging alone. Nobody's going to force you to eat vegetables or exercise. You have to be your own health advocate. But here's the freedom in that. You can exercise exactly how you want. Hate gyms? Walk in nature. Love swimming? Find a pool. Want to do yoga in your living room at 6 a.m.? Perfect. The point is movement, not performance. Nutrition is the same. Learn to cook meals you actually enjoy. Not impressive dinner party food. Food that makes you feel good. Stock your kitchen with things you love. Eat when you're hungry. Stop when you're full. No one's pushing second helpings or judging your choices. This autonomy over your own body is profound. Mental stimulation is crucial. Your brain needs challenges to stay sharp. Read books that make you think. Learn new skills. Take online courses. Do puzzles. Write. Create. The stereotype of the elderly person vegetating in front of the television happens when people stop challenging themselves. Don't let that be you. Your mind is a muscle. Use it or lose it. One of the biggest advantages of aging alone is financial clarity. You know exactly where your money goes. No arguments about spending. No financial entanglement with someone whose priorities differ from yours. This means you can plan your financial future with precision. You can be as frugal or as generous as you want. You can save for exactly what matters to you. Many people aging alone find that they actually need less money than couples. One set of housing costs, Lower food bills. No expensive obligation gifts or events you didn't want to attend anyway. This can translate to financial security, which in turn creates psychological peace. Financial stress is one of the biggest sources of unhappiness in later life. Eliminating it is transformative. Let's address the elephant in the room. What about when you get really old and need help? This is the fear that keeps people in bad relationships. The terror of needing assistance and having no one to provide it. First, understand that having family is no guarantee of care. Nursing homes are full of people with children who never visit. Second, there are solutions that don't require a spouse or kids. Long-term care insurance. Retirement communities designed for aging in place. Professional caregivers. Technology that monitors health and safety. Legal documents like healthcare proxies and powers of attorney assigned to trusted friends or professionals. The key is planning ahead. Don't wait until you're in crisis. Set these systems up now while you're still capable. And here's something people don't talk about. Sometimes, professional care is better than family care. Professional caregivers are trained, objective, and not carrying decades of family baggage into the caregiving relationship. There's dignity in having someone help you because it's their job, not because they're obligated by blood. Loneliness is different from being alone, and it's important to distinguish between them. Loneliness is a feeling of disconnection. You can be lonely in a room full of people. You can be lonely in a marriage. Being alone is simply a physical state. The goal is to be alone without being lonely. How do you do this? First, develop a rich inner life. This sounds abstract, but it's practical. It means having thoughts that interest you. Questions you're curious about. Ideas you want to explore. People with rich inner lives are never bored because their own minds are fascinating to them. They can spend hours thinking, wondering, imagining. This isn't escapism. It's engagement with ideas. Second, maintain multiple types of connections. Not just one best friend who becomes your entire social world. Have different people for different needs. Someone you discuss books with. Someone you take walks with. Someone you share meals with occasionally. Someone you can call when you need practical help. Diversifying your social portfolio prevents devastation if one relationship ends. Third, contribute to something beyond yourself. Volunteer. Mentor. Create art or writing that others can enjoy. Help neighbors. Donate to causes you believe in. When you're contributing, you're connected to the larger human project. You matter. Your existence has impact. This kills loneliness more effectively than any amount of small talk at obligatory social events. There's a concept in psychology called self-sufficiency versus self-reliance. Self-sufficiency is the delusion that you need absolutely nothing from anyone. It's brittle and unsustainable. Self-reliance is knowing you can handle life's challenges while also being wise enough to ask for help when you need it. Aim for self-reliance, not self-sufficiency. This means building competence in areas that matter. Learn basic home repairs. Understand your finances. Know how to cook nutritious meals. Understand your healthcare and insurance. These skills create genuine confidence. You're not helpless. You're capable. And that capability is attractive to others, which paradoxically means you'll probably have more genuine offers of friendship and help. Let's talk about purpose. This is where many people stumble in later life, alone or not. They've spent decades with purpose defined externally. Career, raising children, maintaining a marriage. When those external structures disappear, they feel lost. The advantage of being alone is that you're forced to find purpose for yourself earlier and more honestly. Your purpose doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to change the world. It has to matter to you. Maybe your purpose is mastering a craft. Woodworking, painting, writing, gardening. Maybe it's being the person in your community who everyone knows they can count on for help. Maybe it's learning everything you can about a subject that fascinates you. Maybe it's simply living with as much joy and grace as possible. Viktor Frankl, who survived Nazi concentration camps, wrote that life is never made unbearable by circumstances, but only by lack of meaning and purpose. He found meaning in the worst circumstances imaginable. You can certainly find it living alone in relative comfort. The question isn't whether meaning exists. It's whether you're willing to define it for yourself. Technology is a double-edged sword for older people living alone. On one hand, it can connect you to people worldwide who share your interests. Video calls with distant friends or family. Online communities. Educational content. Entertainment. On the other hand, it can become a substitute for real life, a place to hide rather than engage. Use technology intentionally. Set boundaries. Maybe you check email once a day. Maybe social media has specific time limits. Maybe you use video calls to supplement, but not replace in-person interaction when possible. The goal is to be technology's master, not its servant. Older adults who use technology well are often happier and more connected than those who avoid it entirely or let it dominate their lives. One unexpected benefit of aging alone is that you become very good at enjoying your own company. This is an undervalued skill. Most people are uncomfortable with themselves. They need constant distraction, noise, activity, other people. Anything to avoid being alone with their thoughts. When you age alone, you're forced to confront yourself. Initially, this might be uncomfortable. Eventually, it becomes comfortable. Then, it becomes preferable. You start to notice things. The quality of light at different times of day. The way seasons change. Small details that busy people miss. You develop patience. You're less reactive. You think before you speak. You choose your battles. You let go of things that don't matter. This is wisdom, and it often comes more quickly to those who spend significant time alone. There's also freedom in not having to witness or participate in other people's decline. This sounds harsh, but it's true. When you're married or partnered in old age, you often become a caregiver. You watch someone you love deteriorate. It's painful and exhausting. Living alone means you only manage your own aging process. You can make decisions about your own care without guilt or negotiation. Some people choose aggressive medical interventions. Others choose comfort care. Some want to fight every illness. Others want to accept natural decline. When you're alone, these choices are yours. No one's trying to keep you alive for their own emotional needs. No one's pushing treatments you don't want. Your body, your rules. Let's address sex, and intimacy. The assumption is that older people living alone have given up on physical connection. Sometimes that's true. Sometimes it's a relief. Many people find that freedom from sexual expectation is liberating. But physical touch and intimacy don't require a committed relationship. Friendships can include appropriate physical affection. Hugs, holding hands, sitting close. Professional services like massage provide touch. Some older adults have casual romantic or sexual relationships without cohabitation or commitment. The point is that being alone doesn't mean being untouched. It means being intentional about the kinds of touch and intimacy you want. No obligation sex. No touch you don't enjoy. Only connection that feels good to you. This is another form of sovereignty over your own body. Grief will come. If you're aging alone after being partnered, grief over that loss. If you've always been alone, grief over the life you didn't have. Grief over friends who die. Grief over your own physical decline. Grief is unavoidable. What matters is how you move through it. Don't suppress it. Don't wallow in it. Feel it, process it, and keep living. One helpful practice is creating rituals around grief. When you lose someone or something important, mark it. Light a candle. Write a letter. Plant something. Visit a meaningful place. These rituals help you process loss without getting stuck in it. They provide closure without requiring another person to validate your feelings. The relationship with yourself becomes primary when you age alone. How do you talk to yourself? Are you kind or cruel? When you make a mistake, do you beat yourself up or extend compassion? When you succeed, do you acknowledge it or dismiss it? The voice in your head becomes your constant companion. Make sure it's a voice you want to hear. Self-compassion isn't self-indulgence. It's treating yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a good friend. When you're sick, you rest. When you're sad, you acknowledge it. When you need help, you ask. When you're proud, you celebrate. This relationship with yourself determines your baseline happiness more than any external circumstance. Many people discover that aging alone strips away pretense. You stop caring what others think. You wear what's comfortable, not what's impressive. You say no without elaborate excuses. You say yes only when you mean it. This authenticity is magnetic. Ironically, when you stop trying to please everyone, you often become more genuinely likable. There's also the advantage of flexibility. Want to move to a different city or state? You can. Want to downsize to a tiny apartment or buy a piece of land? Your choice. Want to travel for months at a time? Pack your bags. Want to completely reinvent your daily routine? Go ahead. Couples have to negotiate all of this. You just decide. This flexibility extends to how you spend your time. Want to stay up all night, reading, and sleep until noon? Fine. Want to wake at dawn and be in bed by 8? Great. Want to eat the same meal for a week straight because you love it? No one's complaining. These might seem like small freedoms, but they accumulate into a life that feels genuinely yours. Let's talk about meaning-making through creativity. Many people discover creative passions later in life when they finally have time. Writing memoirs, painting, music, craft, photography. Gardening as art. These activities provide both purpose and pleasure. They're productive without being exhausting. They give you something to work toward without the pressure of external deadlines or judgment. Creativity also provides a legacy. Even if you have no children, you can leave something behind. Art. Writing. A beautiful garden. Contributions to your community. Knowledge passed on. The human need to leave a mark is real. Creativity satisfies it without requiring biological descendants. Spirituality, broadly defined, often becomes more important and more personal as we age alone. Not necessarily religious dogma, but big questions. What does it all mean? What happens after death? What's worth caring about? These questions are harder to avoid when you're alone. You can't distract yourself with relationship drama or family obligations. You have to grapple with existence itself. Some people find this in nature. Long walks where they feel connected to something larger. Some find it in philosophy or religious practice. Some find it in service to others. Some find it in simply being present to each moment. The specific form matters less than the practice of connecting to something beyond your immediate concerns. Here's something nobody tells you about aging alone. You might actually be happier than your partnered peers. Research shows that the happiness gap between married and single people narrows significantly in older age. Sometimes it reverses. Older single people often report higher life satisfaction than those in mediocre marriages. The key word is mediocre. A great relationship probably beats being alone. But a mediocre or bad relationship is definitely worse. And most long marriages become mediocre. The passion fades. The friendship weakens. Your roommates bound by history and fear of change. Meanwhile, the person aging alone has built a life entirely on their own terms. They've developed independence, self-knowledge, and genuine contentment. They're not staying together for the kids who are now adults. They're not trapped by financial entanglement. They're free. Financial planning deserves another mention because it's so critical. Meet with a financial advisor who specializes in single retirees. Your needs are different from couples. You can't rely on a spouse's income or pension. You need to ensure your assets last. Consider things like life insurance to cover final expenses so you're not a burden. Consider prepaying for funeral arrangements. Make sure your estate planning is clear. These aren't morbid considerations. They're acts of self-respect and consideration for whoever handles your affairs after you're gone. Having these things in order creates peace of mind. You know you're taken care of. You won't be scrambling in a crisis. This reduces anxiety and allows you to enjoy the present more fully. Community integration is different when you're alone. You can't rely on a spouse's social circle. You have to build your own. This actually often results in more diverse, interesting social connections. You meet people through your interests, not just through obligation. You're part of multiple communities rather than one family unit. This might look like being a regular at a coffee shop where people know your name. Being part of a hiking group. Attending a weekly class. Volunteering consistently somewhere. These weak ties matter more than people realize. They provide social contact without the intensity or obligation of deep friendship. They make you feel part of something without consuming all your time. Now let's address something important. What if you're not alone by choice? What if you wanted a partner, wanted family, and it didn't happen? This creates a different emotional landscape. There can be bitterness, regret, a sense of being left behind. These feelings are valid, but they're also prison if you let them dominate. The work is accepting what is, rather than mourning what isn't. This doesn't mean pretending you don't have feelings. It means acknowledging them and choosing to build a good life anyway. Millions of people don't get the life they imagined. The question is whether you'll be one of the ones who finds happiness anyway, or one of the ones who remains bitter until death. Acceptance doesn't happen overnight. It's a practice. Some days you'll feel peaceful. Other days you'll feel cheated. Both are okay. The trend over time should be toward acceptance and even appreciation for the life you have. Focus on what's present, not what's absent. Focus on what you can control, not what you can't. There's also the reality that relationships aren't guaranteed happiness. For every happy couple, there's another couple who quietly despise each other. For every devoted family, there's another family torn apart by conflict and resentment. You've been spared certain kinds of pain by being alone. You've also missed certain joys. Life is always trade-offs. Nobody gets everything. Let's talk about home environment. When you live alone, your space is entirely yours. This is a privilege. Make it beautiful. Make it comfortable. Make it exactly what you want. You don't need to accommodate anyone else's taste or needs. Your home can be your sanctuary, designed for your specific idea of peace and joy. This might mean surrounding yourself with books, or having minimal, clean spaces, or filling every surface with plants or art, or creating a workshop space for your hobbies, or designing the perfect kitchen. Whatever home means to you, you can create it without compromise. This is huge. Your physical environment dramatically affects your mental state. Also consider location carefully. Do you want to be near amenities so you can walk places? Do you want quiet and nature? Do you want to be near family or friends or far from them? Do you want seasons or consistent climate? When you're alone, you can choose based entirely on your preferences. This is another significant freedom. Daily routines become sacred when you're alone. Not sacred in a religious sense, but in the sense that they're yours and they structure your life. Maybe you have a morning routine that prepares you for the day. Coffee, reading, exercise, whatever. Maybe you have an evening routine that helps you wind down. These routines provide stability and something to look forward to, but also maintain flexibility within routine. Don't become so rigid that any disruption causes anxiety. The goal is comfortable structure, not prison. You want rhythms that serve you, not rules that constrain you. This balance between structure and freedom is one of the arts of living well alone. Pets can be wonderful companions for people aging alone, but they're also responsibility. Be honest about your capacity to care for an animal long term. If you're healthy and active, a dog can provide companionship, purpose, and reason to exercise. If you're less mobile, a cat might be better. Birds, fish, or other pets work for some people. The key is matching the pet to your lifestyle and being realistic about future care. What happens if you become unable to care for the animal? Have a plan. Don't get a pet out of desperation for company and then resent the responsibility. but a well-chosen animal companion can genuinely enhance life, providing affection, routine, and something to care for beyond yourself. Let's circle back to health one more time because it's foundational. When you're alone, you are your own safety net. This means being proactive about health, regular checkups, addressing problems early, having emergency plans in place, knowing your medications, understanding your conditions. This isn't paranoia. It's responsible self-care. But also, don't become a hypochondriac. Don't let health anxiety dominate your life. Find the balance between appropriate vigilance and obsessive worry. Trust your body. Listen to it. Care for it. But don't let fear of illness prevent you from living fully. Many people living alone are healthier than their partnered peers because they have to be. They can't afford to neglect themselves. Mental health is equally important. Depression and anxiety are real risks for isolated older adults. But isolation doesn't cause these conditions automatically. Plenty of people living alone are mentally healthy. The key is staying engaged, maintaining connections, having purpose, and seeking help if you need it. Therapy isn't just for people in crisis. It's for anyone who wants to understand themselves better and live more fully. Don't buy into ageist stereotypes about older people being unable to change or learn. Your brain remains plastic throughout life. You can develop new habits, learn new skills, change your perspective. Being older doesn't mean being fixed. It means being experienced. Use that experience wisely to create the life you want now, not to trap yourself in patterns that no longer serve you. Here's something powerful about aging alone. You become a mystery to others. People don't quite know what to make of the older person who lives alone and seems genuinely happy. It doesn't fit the narrative. This gives you a kind of freedom. You're not performing the expected role. You're not the lonely widow everyone pities or the bitter divorcee everyone avoids. You're something else. Something interesting. Embrace this. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your happiness. You don't have to justify your life choices. You certainly don't have to perform sadness or loneliness to make others comfortable. Your contentment might be threatening to people trapped in obligations they resent. That's their problem, not yours. The final years of life can be a time of profound peace or desperate unhappiness. The difference isn't primarily about external circumstances. It's about acceptance. Acceptance of aging. Acceptance of mortality. Acceptance of what your life has been and what it is now. This acceptance doesn't mean resignation. It means realistic engagement with reality. When you're alone, you're forced into this acceptance more directly. There's no one to distract you from existential questions. No relationship drama to focus on instead of your own mortality. This can be a gift. You're doing the psychological work that many people avoid until it's too late. You're learning to be okay with yourself, with life, with death. Preparing for death when you're alone is practical, not morbid. Have your affairs in order. Make your wishes clear. Choose someone to be your healthcare proxy and executor. Prepay funeral expenses. Write ethical wills expressing your values. These preparations provide peace of mind and prevent burdening others. But don't spend all your time preparing for death that you forget to live. The goal is to handle practical matters efficiently so they don't consume mental energy, then focus on living as fully as possible. Every day you wake up is a day to be alive, not a day closer to death. How you frame it matters. There's a Zen saying, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. The tasks of life remain the same. What changes is your relationship to them. Similarly, before acceptance of aging alone, you cook meals, clean house, spend time on hobbies. After acceptance, you do the same things. But they feel different. They feel sufficient. They feel like life itself, not like marking time until something better comes along. This is the secret nobody tells you. Happiness isn't circumstantial. It's attitudinal. It's not about having the perfect life. It's about finding sufficiency in the life you have. And when you're alone, without the complications of managing relationships that don't serve you, sufficiency is easier to access. You have fewer obligations. Less drama. Less compromise. More autonomy. More authenticity. More space. These aren't consolations for being alone. They're genuine advantages. Own them. Enjoy them. Build a life around them. The older person living alone who has done this work is formidable. They're self-sufficient without being isolated. They're connected without being dependent. They've made peace with themselves. They know who they are. They're comfortable with solitude. They've built a life of meaning and purpose. They're not waiting to be rescued. They're not killing time. They're fully alive. This is what's possible. Not guaranteed, but possible. It requires intention, honesty, courage, and work. It requires rejecting social narratives about what aging should look like. It requires building something new rather than clinging to what was. It requires facing yourself without flinching. But the reward is freedom. Real freedom. The freedom to be yourself completely. The freedom to live by your own values. The freedom to spend your remaining days exactly as you choose. The freedom from obligation, pretense, and compromise. This freedom is worth everything. So if you're aging alone by choice or by circumstance, know this. You're not broken. You're not pitiable. You're not doing life wrong. You're living one of many valid ways to be human. And if you do it intentionally, with courage and honesty, you might just find that these years alone are the best years of your life. Years where you finally, fully become yourself. Thank you so much for watching. If this resonated with you, please subscribe to True Stories After 50 and hit that like button. Share this with someone who might need to hear it. And remember, being alone doesn't mean being lonely. Sometimes it means being free. I'll see you in the next one.